Danny White, the quarterback from the Dallas Cowboys, Compass Media, they will call the game on Sunday, and they will have the Dallas feed for you. And for those of you who are traveling wherever you may be, if you can't listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN, the Dallas feed will be Danny White on the call. He's the color analyst for Compass Media, and he's going to join us, I think he just called us in on the phone. We might have a little mix-up in some of the time spot, but we'll try to pop him on or see what we're going on here. And I'm interested to see what they think about, especially Danny, who is, a QB, hearing all this story down there about Dak Prescott and how that changes things. And Danny, you got an up close and personal seat last week. Did you notice something different with Dak while you were calling the game against the Rams last week?
Well, I noticed that he was missing some throws, and that he doesn't normally miss. And we went back after seeing that, and I saw the play where he got tackled and the guy fell on his back. Clay Matthews landed on top of him, and I thought when I saw it was a collarbone. As it turns out, he's lucky that he didn't break his collarbone. The way that he fell. And, quarterback shoulder pads are not like everybody else's because they have to be able to throw it, so they don't have that locking cap on their shoulder pad. And when a guy falls on top of you like that, your collarbone and your shoulder are very, very vulnerable. And so to have the slight separation that he has, they call it a sprain, he's very fortunate that it wasn't worse than that. But, yeah, I did notice him missing some throws that he normally wouldn't miss, and that, of course, explains it.
That being said, he hasn't practiced at all. He's not on the injury report. I don't know what that really means or what that says, but him not practicing, is that something, you played the position, is that something that, that the offensive coordinator and, Jason Garrett might have to game plan around?
I really don't think so. There may be a little bit of a pain issue. If he has a separation, a mild separation, what he's got mostly is a pain issue. It's not strength. They can protect it. So I don't really think it's going to be much of an issue. And this late in the season, they're not putting in any new routes, anything that he has to work on timing. He's got the same receivers. If this was early in the season, I'd say, yeah, it could be an issue. But at this point, I really think what he needs is just rest and let that thing heal a little bit. And to be honest with you, the greatest analgesic in the world is adrenaline, and he's going to have a lot of that flowing through his veins, on Sunday. So I really, really don't think it'll be an issue at all. I think they're being cautious by keeping him out of practice and not having him throw any and letting that thing rest a little bit.
Danny, how's Carson Wentz being viewed down there in the season that he's had? Because we just were talking about it before we brought you into the conversation, just the type of year Carson Wentz has had, comparing it to the past few seasons, his 2017 potential MVP year. So from the Cowboys' perspective, are you looking at it like, man, Carson really doesn't have anything, we just need to go in there and close this division out? Or are you still kind of giving him the respect that he can win this Eagles team an important game here?
Well, if it was up to Carson, I think it'd be the same kind of respect he's had in the past. But having played the quarterback position, I can tell you there is no position in all of sport, I don't care what sport it is in the world, that is more dependent on the people around you than the quarterback. Whether it's the offensive line giving him protection, his receivers getting separation and giving him a target to throw to. And that's the big thing right now with Carson is he hasn't had his receivers. And, other than Zach Ertz. And Zach has really come through for him, but it's pretty incredible that they are still in a position to win the division, having lost all the receivers that they've lost, and like if they, the big one to me is the tackle. Is the right tackle, Lane Johnson. If he's able to go, that's a big deal. Other than that, those receivers, not having them is a major deal for a quarterback. And I think he's had a phenomenal year considering all the injuries they've had.
Yeah, it's been a real tough season for Eagles fans and, more importantly, for the Eagles players inside that locker room. So you're right with, all the injuries he's had to deal with, and the fact that the Eagles are even in a position to potentially win the division, I think says a lot. So having said that, what are your thoughts on Jason Garrett and the job he's done down in Dallas? And if the Dallas Cowboys find a way to lose this game, is it going to be trouble for Mr. Garrett down there?
Well, I think it will be. Not that it's Jason's fault. I think sometimes, and this would be a perfect example of a situation where a change is needed for the sake of change. Not because Jason hasn't done a good job. I think Jason Garrett is the perfect guy, has the perfect temperament, the perfect demeanor. He's got the respect of the players in the locker room. I can tell you that. The players have not quit on him. But it's a situation where there may be a change made just for the sake of change. And you hate to say that, but it's just a fact of life in the National Football League that sometimes that happens. And this would be one of those cases. If they don't, get into the playoffs, win the division, and even, win at least that first playoff game, it may be a situation where Jerry feels like, hey, we just need this team just needs a facelift and a change of attitude, and not because Jason hasn't done a great job, because he has. I think he's the perfect guy for that job. We know that Jimmy Johnson wasn't the perfect guy. We know that Bill Parcells wasn't the perfect guy. I think Jason Garrett is, and I don't know who they would replace him with that would do a better job than Jason, but it may be that just due to outside pressure, a change has to be made, and that would be unfortunate because I think Jason Garrett's done an amazing job.
Danny White's with us, former Cowboys quarterback, and of course 80, 81, 82, 3 consecutive NFL championship, NFC championship games, and you look at these two teams, I don't know who's been more disappointing, but why I think the Eagles side, the injuries have been a big reason for why they have been here. Why is Dallas in a spot where they've got to go to Philly and beat a team that has had all these injury issues? What has been the biggest disappointment as to why Dallas is 7-7?
Well, yeah, that has been a disappointment, and it's a mystery to me because on paper they are as talented a team as there is. I picked 4 teams in the NFC at the beginning of the year that I thought were the most talented teams in the conference, and they were the Saints, the Eagles, the Rams, and the Cowboys. And the Rams and Cowboys have really been a mystery to me. Why they haven't put together better records. Of course, the Rams do have a better record. It's just the fact that they don't play in the NFC East, and the Cowboys do. But to have the record that the Cowboys do is just unexplainable. I watch them practice. I watch them play. They work hard. They've got a great locker room. I don't have an answer. I wish I did, and that's unfortunate for Jason Garrett, as we've been talking about, because they just haven't put together the numbers and the record that everybody thought they would.
Danny, more important guy for you on Sunday, Dak or Zeke? Because the Eagles can't stop Zeke, and Dak's had some big games against them. But if the Cowboys win, who has the bigger game?
Well, I think Zeke has the bigger game if the Cowboys win. We finally figured out, I think, last week that this is just a team we've tried all year to put more and more of the pressure on Dak and the passing game to be able to win games with the passing game. It's, through the last 10 years, the Cowboys have just been a running team. And I know that with a change in coordinator with Kellen Moore, the Cowboys have made an effort to take some of that pressure off of Zeke in the running game, and to be in a position to come from behind, you have to be able to throw the ball and score quickly and get yardage in chunks, which you can't do with the running game. And they've been fairly successful at that, but it's cost them games. And so finally last week, and the Cowboys, this is the amazing thing, the Cowboys still have yet to play a game that they had to win. This will be the first game this year that the Cowboys have had to win. And so, until you face that kind of pressure, who knows? But they have been disappointing, and that's been the theme, and I think they've got to get back to the running game in order to go into the playoffs.
Yep, and we know, here's one thing. The Cowboys whipped the Eagles down there in Dallas, but the Eagles much different at home than on the road. Defensively, they give up 17 points a game at home. They give up 29 points a game on the road. So that could be a huge difference in this game. If the Eagles' defense is much better, the only difference was the Eagles' offense way different than the last time. So it should be fun. It's a Philly-Eagles game. You've been a member of a lot of those games. Did you enjoy playing at the Vet, Danny?
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite places to play, except when it was the worst field, the worst playing surface in the league, in my opinion, because it was hard, especially if it was cold. That first series of AstroTurf that came out, I think Philadelphia got the last batch that came out of the factory because it was horrible. Man, I hated landing on that stuff, but no, the Eagles have always been a much better team, especially defensively at home. I don't know what it is, but most teams are better at home, but the Eagles in particular have just been better, and that's going to be the test tomorrow. If this is a low-scoring game, the Eagles are going to have a chance. If they get into any kind of a track meet or a scoring contest with the Cowboys, or the Cowboys are able to score, I would say 21 points or more, I think the Eagles are going to have a tough time keeping up with them.
All right, Danny White, he'll call the action for Compass Media's coverage of the Eagles and the Cowboys. And, of course, you can check that out nationally for Compass Media. Kevin Ray, Danny White on the call for the national feed, and he was kind enough to join us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Danny, thanks so much.
Hey, you're welcome. Anytime.